Chapter 1288 was an exceptionally sweet date. The raging fire lion instantly made a brilliant decision. Run. Fuck, if he couldn't afford to provoke it, he could hide. He had to run for his life first. Hey. Kitten, don't run yet. I don't want to kill you. Stop right there. I'll make a deal with you. I guarantee that you'll be tempted. Yun Chujio stretched her neck and shouted. The raging fire lion felt that he could still outrun the two raging bulls, so he stopped and prepared to hear what Yun Chujio had to say. Kitten, you, Nyoda, and Nyo-er will escort me to the entrance of the 8th floor. After the deed is done, I'll give you a few high-quality healing pills. How about it? Isn't this a good deal? The raging fire lion was a little tempted when it heard this, but it was still a little hesitant. Being controlled by a human was really a little embarrassing. Then, it heard Yun Chujio continue, Kitten, when I do things, I usually have to be polite before I act. What if you agree? We're both battle partners, so I naturally won't treat you unfairly. However, if you don't agree, HMPH, where do you think you can run to? Even if you hide in your nest, I will still blow your nest into powder. If you don't believe me, let's try. The raging fire lion was so angry that it was twitching. How was this a business deal? This was a forced sale. Did it dare to not agree? The two bulls knew its nest. If it didn't agree, it would definitely be blown to pieces. After weighing the pros and cons, the raging fire lion reluctantly established a spiritual connection with Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio also established a temporary contract with it. Kitten, your fur is bigger than Nyo-er's and Nyo-er's. I'd better sit on your back. Let's go, continue to move forward. Yun Chujio sat on the raging fire lion's back and waved the rolling pin, looking very majestic. Tears flowed down the raging fire lion's face. It was a level 26 demonic beast, yet it was being ridden by a little girl. Furthermore, it was being called a kitten. There was nowhere to put its lion face. The two black-horned raging fire lions felt much more at ease. Initially, they felt that they could not raise their heads in front of the raging fire lion. However, when they saw the sullen look on the raging fire lion's face, they instantly felt extremely comfortable. They deserved it. How did you laugh at us before? Did you think that we would be willing to be ordered around by a little girl for no reason? Did you think that we were stupid? Humph. If it was not because we could not win, did you think that we would be willing? Yun Chujio was in a good mood and was quite generous. She threw the corpses of some demonic beasts in her storage ring to the three of them. Although the spiritual power of the demonic beasts in Qingxian continent was low, it was better than nothing, especially when she slapped them and gave them a sweet date. This sweet date was especially sweet. The three of them were so touched that they almost cried. Sob, the little devil actually gave them food. It really touched the beasts. For the rest of the journey, Yun Chujio accepted the obedient demonic beasts. When she encountered stubborn ones, she directly commanded Nyoda and the others to kill them, and then the meat of the demonic beasts was distributed to Nyoda and the others. The three little blackbirds were completely impressed. Xiao Hanyo, there was no one else who could be their black-hearted master. Other than dealing with the cave raging flame tiger by themselves, the rest of the demonic beasts were completely tricked by Lai Yen. A day later, Yun Chujio led the demonic beast thugs to the entrance of the 8th level. Yun Chujio distributed the hemostasis pills to the demonic beasts, then, she waved goodbye to them with a smile. If it wasn't for the fact that you guys couldn't enter the 8th level, I would definitely bring you guys to the 8th level as well. What a pity. Train hard, I will miss you guys. Seeing Yun Chujio disappear at the entrance, the demonic beasts couldn't help but shed 2 teardrops sadly. They had to admit that this day was unforgettable for them. It turned out that ganging up to bully the beasts was so satisfying. Chapter 1289 was actually a talisman seller. After Yun Chujio entered the 8th level, she was ready to use the same trick again. This fellow began to look for a target. Just as Yun Chujio was looking around, an iron-tailed wind-blade tiger pounced towards her. "Kitten! Stop right there. Listen to me for a bit before you eat me." Yun Chujio took a few steps back and said loudly. Xiao Hanio complained in its heart. Their black-hearted master was probably not only useless in naming things, but also a name-blind. If it saw a demon beast, it would be either a kitten, a puppy, or a calf. The iron-tailed wind-blade tiger was obviously very unhappy to be called a kitten. It stared fiercely at Yun Chujio, wanting to hear what she had to say. "Kitten, aren't you curious how I got to the 8th level when I'm so weak?" Yun Chujio said mysteriously. When the iron-tailed wind-blade tiger heard Yun Chujio's words, it indeed felt a little strange. Logically speaking, it was already good enough for such a weak human to get to the 3rd floor. How did she get to the 8th floor? To be honest, I relied on 2 things to get here. One of them was the hemostatic pill in my hand. When I saw a demon beast covered in wounds, I couldn't bear to see it, so I used the hemostatic pill in my hand to save it. It was willing to be under my control. Yun Chujio said until here, she didn't continue speaking. Instead, she leisurely took out a spirit fruit and started to eat it. The iron-tailed wind-blade tiger was listening attentively. When it saw that Yun Chujio didn't say anything, it immediately roared in displeasure. It bared its teeth, obviously wanting Yun Chujio to continue speaking. Yun Chujio was delighted. So it was still a curious little cat. The possibility of it taking the bait was very high. I put in more effort. After it was used by me, I used another thing and collected many demon beasts with it. Later on, I had more and more demon beast friends and easily reached the entrance of the next level. Every level was the same. When I left, I didn't mistreat them and gave them a lot of hemostatic pills, and the first demon beast that showed goodwill to me naturally got the most, Yun Chujio said unhurriedly. The iron-tailed wind-blade tiger was very curious about the second thing that Yun Chujio said. It saw Yun Chujio throw a big sack over. "Kitten, hearing is false, seeing is believing. Look for yourself. You don't have to think of destroying these things. I still have dozens of sacks in my storage ring." The iron-tailed wind-blade tiger looked at Yun Chujio suspiciously, then looked at the sacks on the ground. Could it be that this was a trap that the little girl had set for it? Then, should it look or not? Yun Chujio naturally understood the iron-tailed wind-blade tiger's concern. She smiled and said, "Little cat, you wouldn't dare to look, would you? So it really is a little cat's guts. I see that your guts are only as big as a needle's nose." When the iron-tailed wind-blade tiger heard Yun Chujio's words, it immediately roared in anger. Was it afraid? The most it could do was to hold its breath. It could only hold its breath. How could it be mocked by such a weak chicken? Therefore, the iron-tailed wind-blade tiger held its breath and moved closer to the gunny sack. It opened the gunny sack with its claws and was stunned. The iron-tailed wind-blade tiger rubbed its eyes with its claws. Then, it widened its eyes and rubbed its eyes. The gunny sack was still filled with super-grade explosive talismans. The iron-tailed wind-blade tiger was stunned for a moment. Then, with a whoosh, it retreated more than 100 feet away. No wonder this little girl was able to break through to the 8th floor. It turned out that she was a talisman seller. Chapter 1290 Failed Kitten, did you see that? I relied on this to deal with the disobedient demon beasts. This thing was environmentally friendly and fast. With just a bang, the demon beasts turned into dregs. Do you think it's fun? Yun Chujio said with a smile. The iron tail wind blade was so angry that it was whipping. Fun? You pervert. Don't you think it's fun if you're blown to pieces? However, although I'm a bit ruthless, I'm quite generous to my demon beast friends. For example, on the 7th floor, the two black-horned raging bulls were the first to seek refuge with me. Therefore, when I left, not only did I give them a lot of hemostatic pills, I also gave them a lot of exploding spirit pills. It's a super-grade one. Yun Chujio took out a super-grade exploding spirit pill and tossed it in her hand. Iron-tailed Wind Blade looked at the super-grade exploding spirit pill in Yun Chujio's hand greedily. No matter how powerful the demon beasts were, they wouldn't know how to refine pills. They only knew how to find the right herbs and swallow them. Therefore, to these demon beasts, pills were very attractive. There was no need to doubt their attraction. Little cat, we can be considered to have hit it off. I met you the moment I reached the 8th level. If you are willing, we will establish a temporary contract. Naturally, I will not mistreat you. If you don't believe me, I will give this supreme-grade explosive panacea to you first. After Yun Chujio finished speaking, she threw the supreme-grade explosive panacea in her hand to the iron-tailed Windblade tiger. The iron-tailed Windblade tiger caught the supreme-grade explosive panacea with its claws and sniffed it. After sensing nothing unusual, it directly swallowed it into its stomach. The iron-tailed Windblade tiger felt that the spiritual power in its body had suddenly become much more abundant. It could not help but be very excited. At this moment, it heard Yun Chujio say, "Kitten, how is it? As long as you establish a temporary contract with me, when I leave the 8th floor, I will give you 10 superior-grade explosive panacea and 10 superior-grade blood coagulation pills. Moreover, if you follow me, in the future, when I take in demon beasts, you will be the boss. Don't you think it is very impressive? Moreover, only the identity of a leader is worthy of the word king in your head, isn't it?" The iron-tailed Windblade tiger was completely moved. With the medicinal pills, he could still display his might. Why not? Therefore, the iron-tailed Windblade tiger called out a few times proudly. Yun Chujio established a spiritual connection with it and then established a temporary contract. Yun Chujio was very pleased in her heart. There was no other way. No matter how powerful this demon beast was, it was still easier to fool than people. She moved her mouth and took in a powerful fighter. Passing the 8th level was not a problem. Following that, Yun Chujio followed the same method and recruited another level 27 violent white-striped bear. With 2 level 27 demonic beasts in her hands, Yun Chujio was confident. A day later, this fellow once again valiantly arrived at the entrance of the 9th level crypt. Yun Chujio distributed the hemostasis pills to the demonic beasts. Then, she waved goodbye to them with a smile and directly entered the entrance of the 9th level. Among the demonic beasts, the most disappointed one was the iron-tailed Windblade tiger. This fellow had been the boss of the demonic beasts for a whole day. It was very impressive. She didn't expect it to end in just one day. When Yun Chujio reached the 9th floor, she hadn't even stabilized her footing when she encountered a 28th level blood-eyed giant ape. Yun Chujio used the same trick again. She didn't expect this blood-eyed giant ape to not buy it at all. Several wind blades shot out from its eyes and charged at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio dodged while activating the 7 treasure sky shielding umbrella and the defensive spirit tool on her body. This level 28 demonic beast was equivalent to a 7th level spiritual venerable. If she wasn't careful, it would die. Chapter 1291 Blood-Eyed Giant Ape. The blood-eyed giant ape looked at Yun Chujio with disdain. A weak little chicken of the 5th level of the spirit sect wanted to trick it into becoming her beast master. It was simply wishful thinking. The blood-eyed giant ape swayed its huge body as it approached Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio was extremely anxious. This blood-eyed giant ape was the most troublesome demonic beast she had ever encountered. Although the snow wind beast she had encountered in the trial tower was also of a high level, it had been lying there sleeping. Moreover, she did not have to worry about death in the trial tower. Now, it was no longer possible. Although she had a lot of super-grade explosive talismans, a few dozen of them probably would not have any effect on this blood-eyed giant ape. Although she had a lot of them, she could only activate a few dozen of them at a time, before she could activate the next batch of explosive talismans. This blood-eyed giant ape would smack her to death. Yun Chujio had no choice but to throw a bunch of explosive talismans at the blood-eyed giant ape. After that, she had Xiao Hanio carry out the curse. Taking advantage of this time, she threw the remaining 2 explosive talismans and a few dozen explosive talismans at the blood-eyed giant ape. As expected, the blood-eyed giant ape was injured by the explosion. Its body was covered in blood, but this stimulated its mail even more. It stretched out its claws and smacked down at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio did not completely dodge. Although she had relied on the jade token given by the dry old man and the 7 treasure sky shielding umbrella given by Din Huangfu to escape the disaster, the jade token and the 7 treasure sky shielding umbrella were shattered. Yun Chujio threw out the sticky silk net to hinder the blood-eyed giant ape's footsteps. Then, she threw out a large number of burst talismans. The blood-eyed giant ape was once again blasted to the point of letting out an earth-shaking roar, but it still did not die. Yun Chujio was forced into a blind spot by the blood-eyed giant ape. The blood-eyed giant ape pounded its chest and roared loudly. Damn girl, this was the first time it had suffered such a huge loss. Today, it had to eat her up. Yun Chujio really had no choice but to use her old trick. A large sack of chili noodles smashed towards the blood-eyed giant ape. The blood-eyed giant ape subconsciously used its claws to block. Boom, the chili noodles covered its entire body. The chili powder stuck to the wound on its body, causing it to howl in pain. Yun Chujio took this opportunity to throw a few small purple needles at the blood-eyed giant ape's eyes. This was the first time Yun Chujio had used her spiritual power to attack the blood-eyed giant ape. She had been waiting for this moment so that the blood-eyed giant ape would not be on guard. It would not have thought that her spiritual power attack was a small needle. When it blocked it, it would miss, only then would she have a chance to hit it in one hit. As expected, the blood-eyed giant ape's eyes had been hurt by the chili powder, and the wounds on its body were also very painful. Therefore, after feeling Yun Chujio's spiritual power attack, it only casually used its claws to block it. It felt that a 5th-level spirit sect spiritual power attack could not cause any harm to it. The blood-eyed giant ape's claws blocked a portion of the purple needles, but more than 10 purple needles shot into the blood-eyed giant ape's eyes. Yun Chujio was overjoyed and quickly ordered the purple needles to explode. The blood-eyed giant ape rolled on the ground in pain. Yun Chujio obviously would not let go of such a good opportunity. She threw the supreme-grade explosive talisman at the blood-eyed giant ape as if it was free. After a few loud bangs, a huge pit appeared on the ground. The blood-eyed giant ape was dead. Yun Chujio was afraid that it would not die. She threw a few more explosive talismans and then collapsed on the ground. This battle was a heavy loss. The jade token given to her by the dry old man and the 7 treasure sky shielding umbrella given to her by the dean were all useless. The explosive talismans were also gone. However, this was only the entrance to the 9th level. Could it be that she was going to die in this 9 serene crypt? Chapter 1292, Let's Talk Business. Yun Chujio had just taken a few deep breaths when she felt another demonic beast coming over. It was obvious that it was attracted by the bloody smell of the blood-eyed giant ape. Yun Chujio felt that she had to give up her life, so she could only try to bluff it. As expected, a level 28 three-eyed fire fox ran over. Yun Chujio recalled the records of the three-eyed fire fox. Not only could the three-eyed fire fox perform fireball attacks, but the eye in the center of its forehead also had the ability to charm. It was very difficult to deal with. The three-eyed fire fox ran to the edge of the deep pit and looked inside suspiciously. It then looked at Yun Chujio and could not help but be very surprised. Could it be that the blood-eyed giant ape was killed by this little girl? How was this possible? This little girl was only at the 5th level of the spirit sect. How could she kill the blood-eyed giant ape? The three-eyed fire fox looked at Yun Chuzhou and found that the little girl had an aloof and cold demeanor. She did not say a word and did not even look at it. It became even more suspicious. It did not make sense. Why did this little girl not look at it? Did she not put it in her eyes at all? Or was she planning to take its life when it was not paying attention? In fact, Yun Chuzhou did not look at it because she was afraid of being seduced by its third eye. She did not expect that she would be misunderstood by the three-eyed fire fox. It had to be said that this was a wonderful misunderstanding. The three-eyed fire fox was very suspicious. It did not dare to rashly go forward. Instead, it continued to check the traces on the ground. Seeing that the three-eyed fire fox had not attacked her, Yun Chuzhou quickly meditated and regulated her breathing. She also let Guai Chao repair the internal injuries that were caused by the aftermath of the explosive talisman. The three-eyed fire fox checked and found that this was a deep pit created by a large number of talisman seals. This meant that the blood-eyed giant ape was killed by the little girl's talisman seal. This blood-eyed giant ape was really stupid. Why didn't you give the little girl the chance to use the talisman seal? Your spiritual power was so much higher than it, but you were actually killed by the explosion. You were really stupid. Three-eyed fire fox found the cause of death of the blood-eyed giant ape and had a good idea. It spat out several huge fireballs at Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou had been secretly staring at the three-eyed fire fox. She hurriedly dodged the attack of the three-eyed fire fox and cleared her throat. Three-eyed fire fox, how about we discuss a business deal? Three-eyed fire fox. Although the three-eyed fire fox could not find fault with this, it somehow felt that this title was so awkward. Discuss a business deal. You little human girl, why are you discussing a business deal with me, a demonic beast? The biggest business deal is if I eat you. The three-eyed fire fox ignored Yun Chuzhou and continued to attack with fireballs. Hey! Three-eyed fire fox, what do you see in my hand? Three-eyed fire fox stopped attacking and looked up. Then, it was stunned. Oh my God, what the little girl was holding was actually the tailbone of the nine-tailed fox. That's right, it must be. It could smell the aura of an ancient divine beast on it. It must be the tailbone of the nine-tailed fox. If it could obtain this tailbone, it might be able to activate its hidden bloodline. It must kill the little girl and take the tailbone for itself. Just as the three-eyed fire fox was thinking, the little girl said, "Don't tell me you plan to kill me and take this bone for yourself. Let me tell you, if you insist on killing me, I will perish together with this bone. I will let you get nothing." In order to verify her words, Yun Chuzhou held a bunch of explosive talismans in her hand. See? I have dozens of sacks of such superior-grade explosive talismans. I don't believe that I can't blow this broken bone into powder. However, I naturally don't want to die. If you're willing to cooperate with me, this bone will be yours. Moreover, it'll give you some superior-grade blood coagulation pills and superior-grade explosive spirit pills. How about it? What's your choice? Chapter 1293 was kept as a reserve. You must be curious about how to cooperate with me, right? Well, establish a temporary contract. You help me find the entrance to the 10th floor. After the deed is done, I'll give you this bone and the promised pills. Three-eyed fox, this is your only chance. The tailbone of the nine-tailed fox isn't something you can always meet. If you don't grasp it, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Yun Chuzhou was like a wolf grandmother seducing Little Red Riding Hood. Three-eyed fire fox was at a loss. It was naturally unwilling to establish a temporary contract with a weakling, but that was the tailbone of the nine-tailed fox. The little girl was right. If it did not grasp this opportunity, it would regret it for the rest of its life. Forget it, let's just lose face. After the three-eyed fire fox made its decision, it took the initiative to establish a spiritual connection with Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chujio used the beast taming technique to establish a temporary contract with it. Yun Chujio finally heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. Damn, it was a good thing that she suddenly remembered that Xiao Hong was unable to let go of the nine-tailed fox's bone. Otherwise, she might not be able to save her life. The three-tailed fox king of Lai Yan, who was in the spiritual beast bag, grumbled angrily, "That's my bone. I actually have to give it to that three-tailed fox. It's really infuriating. Xiao Hong, if you think about it this way, this bone has been played with by you for several months. Even if there is any nine-tailed fox's aura on it, it has been mostly absorbed by you. Just treat it as a charity to a beggar," Yun Chujio comforted. When the three-eyed fire fox heard Yun Chujio's words, it felt a little better. That's right. Since it had played with it enough, it would give alms to the three-eyed fire fox. After Yun Chujio comforted the three-eyed fire fox king, she asked the three-eyed fire fox, "Three-eyed fire fox, where is the entrance to the 10th floor? Let's go there." The three-eyed fire fox was at a loss. "I've never seen the entrance to the 10th floor. Maybe it's not within my sphere of influence." "Three-eyed, let's go forward and look around. Maybe it's in the depths of the cave." Yun Chujio frowned. She did not know why, but she had a bad feeling. Could it be that she had been tricked by the Qiling? Could it be that there was no 10th floor here? Or could it be that the 10th floor was very hidden and she could not find it? Three-eyed fire fox naturally listened to Yun Chujio now. She nodded. "Then let's go." "Wait. Three-eyed fire fox, your attack just now made my legs a little weak. I can't walk anymore. Come, let me ride on your back. You carry me." Three-eyed fire fox was about to puke. "Your legs are weak. Why do I feel that you are alive and kicking? When you threatened me with the tailbone of the nine-tailed fox just now, you were very lively. Now, your legs are weak." Who was he lying to? Although the three-eyed fire fox was unwilling, it had already boarded the pirate ship. It had no choice but to let Yun Chujio sit on its back and walk forward with a sad face. "Three-eyed, who are you showing your sad face to? Be happy. Think about the nine-tailed fox's tailbone that you are about to obtain. Think about your bright future." When the three-eyed fire fox heard Yun Chujio's words, it was indeed invigorated. Yes, it was sulking for the sake of its future glory. It endured it. After walking for less than an hour, it was blocked by two blood-eyed silver wolves at level 28. The two blood-eyed silver wolves looked at the scene in front of them with some confusion. What the hell was on the back of the three-eyed fire fox? A little human girl at the 5th level of the spirit sect. Was it planning to use the little girl as a reserve food and bring her back to the cave to eat later? Chapter 1294. At this moment, they heard the little girl on the back of the three-eyed fire fox say, "Hey. Two little dogs, how about we do a business deal?" The two blood-eyed silver wolves were dumbfounded. They felt that the way they opened their eyes today was not right. Otherwise, why would such a strange thing happen to their hair? Was this little girl a fool? Were they puppies? What kind of look was that? Besides, you're just a reserve grain. What kind of business are you in? So she was a fool. No wonder the three-eyed fire fox wanted to keep it as a reserve grain. Such a foolish human would not be able to escape. Could it be two silly puppies? Didn't you hear me? You helped me find the entrance to the 10th floor. In return, I will reward you with transcendent-grade blood coagulation pills and transcendent-grade explosive spirit pills. If you don't agree, Three-Eyed and I will turn you into two dead puppies." Yun Chujio said arrogantly. Three-Eyed Fire Fox was about to cry. "Oh my God, you are courting death." Although it could deal with one blood-eyed silver wolf with ease, but there were two of them. Could it be that you can deal with one by yourself? The two blood-eyed silver wolves howled in anger. It seemed that this little girl was not a fool, she was a fucking lunatic. She actually provoked them, she was courting death. However, what was going on with the three-eyed fire fox? Three-eyed fire fox. Was it talking about it? Why did it not say a word? And it looked like it had nothing to live for. Could it be that it had actually been tamed by the little girl? How could this be possible? Two little dogs, you've seen it too. Three-eyed fire fox has already cooperated with me. This is a smart demon beast. If you don't want to be blown into pieces, then immediately agree to my suggestion. Otherwise, what do you think this is? Yun Chujio used the same trick and threw a big sack on the ground. One of the blood-eyed silver wolves used its claws to open it and saw that it was full of super-grade explosive talismans. Was this little girl selling talismans? The other blood-eyed silver wolf had a cunning look in its eyes. It stretched out its front leg and was about to kick the sack away, then, it heard the little girl say faintly, "Kick it, I still have dozens of sacks in my storage ring. And I have all kinds of poisons here that will be used to entertain you." The two blood-eyed silver wolves immediately staggered. Dozens of sacks? Are you kidding us? One sack was enough to scare the beasts, but you still have dozens of sacks. Oh right, before I met Three Eyes, I killed a giant blood-eyed ape. TSK, that stupid thing refused to cooperate with me, so I blew it into pieces in a short while. If you don't believe me, ask Three Eyes if what I said is true. Yun Chujio said proudly, this guy had made up his mind that he would try his best to bluff, and he would never take action if he could solve the problem with his mouth. The two blood-eyed silver wolves looked at the three-eyed fire fox. The three-eyed fire fox nodded. No matter what the process was, the result was indeed that the giant blood-eyed ape was blown to pieces. Two little dogs, I have always believed that harmony is the most precious thing. As long as it doesn't hurt the harmony, it doesn't hurt the harmony. If we fight like this, I reckon that the outcome will not be determined in a short while. At that time, we will both be injured, so why bother? Why don't you follow me? Not only will you get benefits, but you can also kill a few disobedient demon beasts. You will also have meat to eat. What a good deal. The two blood-eyed silver wolves looked at each other. Since the three-eyed fire fox had already surrendered, they didn't have to force it. This was indeed a good deal. After all, they didn't have much to do with each other. As for moral integrity, that thing couldn't be eaten as meat, it was fine if they did not want it. Chapter 1295, Where is the 10th floor cave? The two blood-eyed silver wolves thought of this and took the initiative to establish a spiritual connection with Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio immediately used the beast-taming technique to establish a temporary contract. The pride in this fellow's heart could not be described with words. Ha ha ha. So what if it was a level 28 demonic beast? Wasn't it still tricked by her into becoming her taming beast? Did the damn Qi Ling still want to trick her? She didn't believe that she couldn't find the entrance to the 10th floor. Even if she couldn't find it, she could still think of a way to force it out. Yun Chujio led the three demonic beasts and started the journey of torturing the beasts. The stronger the demonic beasts were, the more they would live alone. Therefore, Yun Chujio led the three demonic beast thugs and was successful in everything. Moreover, she would take in new underlings during this process. However, they had already reached the end of the cave and could not find the entrance to the 10th floor. Moreover, all the demon beasts indicated that they had not seen the entrance to the 10th floor. Yun Chujio could not help but frown. Could it be that she had really been tricked by the Qi Ling? It should not be. If there was no 10th floor, where would the Qi Ling hide? Moreover, the legends didn't come out of nowhere. The 10th floor definitely existed, but where was the entrance? Although Yun Chujio hadn't found the entrance to the 10th floor for the time being, she had an unexpected harvest. This fellow had discovered a netherworld stone mine. The netherworld stone mine wasn't of much use to these demon beasts, so Yun Chujio naturally wouldn't be polite. She used the explosive talisman to blow up the mine and then stored large chunks of netherworld stone into her storage ring. This was a good thing. It was a good opportunity to exchange for contribution points. When those demonic beasts saw Yun Chujio throwing out super-great explosive talisman as if it was free, all of them felt extremely fortunate. Fortunately, they had made a wise decision, or else they would have ended up like this netherworld stone. 3 days passed in a row, but Yun Chujio still couldn't find the entrance to the 10th floor. Along the way, she also cursed Qi Ling. Qi Ling sneered and said, "Stupid girl, there are still 3 days left. If you still can't find the 10th floor, you will never have to go out. You can treat it as a snack for the beasts in the crypt." After saying that, Qi Ling disappeared without a trace. No matter how much Yun Chujio cursed, Qi Ling seemed to be dead. There was no reaction at all. The demonic beasts all looked at Yun Chujio in a daze. Damn, so this person was coerced by the weapon spirit to come here? This person was really bold. A 5th level spirit sect cultivator dared to break through to the 9th level alone. Alright, there was nothing that such perverts didn't dare to do. They were powerful, but in the end, weren't they still obedient? SOB, it was all tears. Yun Chujio didn't have the time to bother with those self-deprecating demon beasts. She held her chin and thought hard about where the 10th floor was. According to common sense, the entrance to the 10th floor should be on the 9th floor. However, these demon beasts had lived here for thousands of years and had never found the entrance to the 10th floor. In this case, there were only 2 possibilities. One was that the entrance to the 10th floor wasn't on the 9th floor at all. The other possibility was that the entrance to the 10th floor was indeed on the 9th floor, but it was extremely hidden. Regardless of which possibility it was impossible to find the entrance to the 10th floor within 3 days. Could it be that they could only be trapped here and die? Just as Yun Chujio was frowning, Three-Eyed Fire Fox came over eagerly. "Little fairy, although we didn't find the entrance to the 10th floor, this matter might not necessarily have no turning point. Perhaps the weapon spirit is just playing with you. So, are you going to give me what you promised me?" Chapter 1296, I really want a bone. Yun Chujio suddenly had an outlet to vent her anger. She pointed at the nose of the Three-Eyed Fire Fox and scolded, "You Three-Eyed Fox, why are you so anxious? Can't you see that my hair is turning white from worry? Why are you still boisterously get lost?" The Three-Eyed Fire Fox almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Unfortunately, with the contract, no matter how angry it was, it did not dare to do anything to Yun Chujio. It was afraid that Yun Chujio would really not give it anything. It quickly added, "Little fairy, don't be angry. I am not in a hurry to get the tailbone of the 9-tailed fox. I am advising you not to worry too much. You are so smart. You must be able to think of a way. By the way, how did you offend the weapon spirit?" The Three-Eyed Fire Fox thought to itself, in the past tens of thousands of years, it had never heard of anyone causing the Qi Ling of the weapon spirit to jump around. What exactly did this person do? Although Yun Chujio knew that the Three-Eyed Fire Fox was using this as an excuse, her heart was moved and she recalled what happened on the 1st floor of the cave. At that time, the Qi Ling said that she had broken its stone, so it wanted to punish her and let her break through to the 10th floor before letting them out. Wait, something was not right. When she killed the blood-eyed giant ape on the 9th floor, the deep pit that exploded was not any shallower than the one on the 1st floor. Why didn't the Qi Ling come out? Even if it had decided to punish her, it should not have been so calm when it saw its beloved stone being destroyed. Later on, when she had scolded it, it did not mention anything about it when it came out. This was too out of line. Yun Chujio was slightly agitated. There must be a mystery behind this. Stay calm, stay calm. She would definitely discover the secret inside. Three-eyed Fire Fox noticed that Yun Chujio seemed to be thinking about something and did not dare to disturb her. It lay on the side with a stomach full of grievance and resentment. It really wanted bones, bones, bones. Suddenly, Yun Chujio jumped up with a bright smile on her face. That damn Qi Ling, did she want to play with her? Humph. When I catch you, I will teach you a lesson. Three-eyed Fire Fox saw the smile on Yun Chujio's face and knew that the little pervert must have known where the entrance to the 10th level was. Hence, he asked carefully, "Little fairy, do you know where the entrance to the 10th level is?" The corners of Yun Chujio's mouth curled up. It's not far from the truth. It's all thanks to your reminder. Don't worry, I will definitely do what I promised. Yun Chujio looked at all the demon beasts again. You guys escort me to the entrance to the 8th floor. When I get there, I will give you the pills. Those demon beasts were lying on the ground with their heads drooping. They felt that they were going to have to work for nothing this time. If the little pervert could not find the entrance to the 10th floor, he might cheat. They did not expect the situation to change. The little pervert seemed to have found the entrance to the 10th floor. However, why did she have to go back to the 8th floor? Could it be that the entrance to the 10th floor was on the 8th floor? This did not make sense. Normally, shouldn't the 10th floor be below the 9th floor? However, these demonic beasts were more concerned about the medicinal pills that they were about to obtain. They immediately escorted Yun Chujio to the entrance to the 8th floor. Yun Chujio gave the things that she promised the demonic beasts to them and entered the entrance to the 8th floor. After Yun Chujio reached the 8th level, she coincidentally met a purple-eyed wild lion that she had previously contracted with. Without much effort, she once again established a temporary contract. After that, everything went smoothly. She subdued the demon beasts that she had encountered on the way here. Under their escort, she arrived at the entrance to the 7th level. Following the same routine, Yun Chujio passed through the 6th level and then activated the concealment talisman to pass through the 5th level's cave. Chapter 1297 The Radish becomes a spirit. 2 days later, Yun Chujio finally returned to the 1st level of the cave. This fellow was extremely tired, but time was limited, so she could only make use of it. Yun Chujio rested for a moment and ate something. Then, she sneered and shouted, "Qi Ling. Do you think your little tricks can fool me? I'm not bragging, there is no one smarter than me in this world, whether it is humans or beasts, including you, this stupid Qi Ling." There was no movement. "Idiot, do you think that I have returned to the 1st floor and I haven't found the position of the 10th floor?" There was no movement. "Humph. Do you think I don't know? The 10th floor is right below the 1st floor cave. The so-called most dangerous place is the safest place. You are really smart this time. No wonder, I blew up a big hole in the 1st floor and you jumped out. It turns out that I almost blew up your nest. Humph. If you still don't get me in, I'll blow up the 1st floor. I'll make 2 floors into 1. After Yun Chujio finished speaking, she held a sack in her hand and was about to blow it up. The weapon spirit that was hiding on the 10th floor was so scared that it quickly got Yun Chujio into the 10th floor. Yun Chujio's guess was right. The 10th floor was hidden under the 1st floor's cave. When Yun Chujio used the explosive talisman to blow up the 3 masked men, the huge vibration caused by the explosion almost scared the weapon spirit to the ground. Qi Ling, who was hiding on the 10th floor, was stunned. It thought that someone had discovered the location of the 10th floor, so it became angry out of humiliation and threatened Yun Chujio, wanting to make Yun Chujio lose her life. However, the Qi Ling never expected that not only was Yun Chujio still alive, but she had also guessed the location of the 10th floor. Woo, this was a pervert. She was not human at all. Those stupid demonic beasts were clearly crushing this little trash with their spiritual power, so why did they end up becoming her henchmen? Each and every one of them was still feeling proud and eager. It was simply too eye-catching. Just as the tool spirit was feeling resentful, it felt itself being lifted up. The tool spirit struggled with its short legs. "Stinky girl, let go of me. Otherwise, I'll teach you a lesson." "Teach me a lesson? I'm already very good looking, 10,000 times better looking than you. With a big belly and small arms and legs, I think you're just a radish spirit." Qi Ling's face turned red. Yun Chuzhou said coldly, "Oh, you are still a radish spirit. Stupid girl. Don't think that I can't do anything to you. I will let the demon beasts eat you." "Eat me? Do you believe that I have a way to let them eat you? Then I will bring them out of this crappy crypt and bring them out to see the colorful world outside." Qi Ling did not doubt this possibility, because those high-level demon beasts were simply too stupid to be saved in front of this little girl. "Humph. Stinky girl, quickly apologize to me, or else I will trap all of you in here forever, and you will not be able to leave this place for the rest of your lives." Qi Ling was fierce on the outside but weak on the inside. "All right. If I am trapped here by you, I will have the time to torture you properly. I will plant you in the soil and see if you can grow carrot leaves." Qi Ling was trembling. It was not a radish. How could it grow a radish leaf? It was so angry. While Qi Ling was trembling, Yun Chuzhou said, "Little radish, you don't have to worry about not growing a leaf. When the time comes, you'll get those demonic beasts to fertilize you." Qi Ling was stunned for a moment and almost fainted from anger. He was so angry. This pervert. This bastard. Chapter 1298, Sheepskin Scroll. "Little radish, let me tell you, I am the best at torturing the Qi Ling. Let alone you, even the Qi Ling of an ancient divine weapon would have to be obedient in front of me. If you are tactful and make up for my mental loss, then release us both, and we will forget everything. Otherwise, HMPH. I have many ways to make you have nothing to live for." Yun Chuzhou said fiercely. The regret in Qi Ling's heart was simply overwhelming. If he knew that this wretched girl was so perverted and shameless, he would not have provoked her no matter what. What should he do now? It was easy to invite a god, but difficult to send a god. If this damned girl did not get some benefits, he would definitely not forgive her. Qi Ling rolled his eyes. "HMPH, since you want benefits, I will give you some junk to get rid of you. Anyway, you don't know what good things I have." "Yes, let's do it." "Little girl, all right, well, do as you say. There's something wrong with this matter. We value harmony. Speaking of compensation, you've already dug up a lot of netherworld stones. I'll give you another good thing, and then I'll send you out, and well be done with this matter." Qi Ling squeezed out a smile and said. Yun Chuzhou was non-committal. Instead, she asked, "What good thing did you give me?" Qi Ling took out a sheepskin scroll. "Little girl, I'm telling you that this is a treasure. It says the location of the treasure. If I didn't feel sorry for you, I definitely wouldn't have taken it out." "Oh. You're so generous. Let me see." Yun Chuzhou gestured Qi Ling to pass the sheepskin scroll to her. The Qi Ling passed the sheepskin scroll to Yun Chuzhou, feeling proud in his heart. "Little fellow, what else can you see?" The scroll was filled with ancient characters. It would be strange if you recognized it. Just as the Qi Ling was thinking proudly, he heard Yun Chuzhou say with a cold smile, "Little radish, are you trying to fool me with a lousy prescription? Do you think I am too easy to talk to? Xiao He, dig a hole immediately, I will plant this radish in." Yun Chuzhou called out Xiao He as she spoke, and Xiao He started to dig a hole without saying a word. Qi Ling said in disbelief, You actually know ancient characters?" "Humph. I know a lot. Little radish, are you trying to fool me? You must be dreaming. Come, I'll plant you in the hole right now." Actually, Yun Chuzhou only recognized a small part of the words on this sheepskin scroll, however, she could still tell what kind of medicine this was. The tool spirit was stuffed into the pit dug by Xiao Hei by Yun Chuzhou, and immediately became terrified. Little girl, no, little fairy, what I gave you just now was just a greeting gift. I still have some good stuff here. Qi Ling said. The tool spirit took out a jade token painfully, and Yun Chuzhou snatched it over with a whoosh. This jade token was obviously a good thing, and it was very similar to the jade token given to her by the dry old man. Qi Ling cursed Yun Chuzhou a few hundred times in his heart, and squeezed out a smile as he said, "This jade token is a defensive immortal tool. It can block a fatal blow from a 9th-level spiritual venerable. It's a real good thing." Yun Chuzhou curled her lips. "It's okay. What else? You don't think that this lousy jade token is enough to get rid of me, do you?" Qi Ling almost passed out. Lousy jade token. A lousy jade token, and you still keep it in your storage ring? This wretched girl is really too greedy. She dug up so many netherworld stones and even extorted a jade token from it, yet she was still not satisfied. How shameless. Little fairy, I'm very poor. I really don't have any other good things. Qi Ling began to cry about being poor and made up her mind not to give Yun Chuzhou anything. Chapter 1299, Hush Money. It seems that you want the demon beast to fertilize you. Xiao Hong, come out and fertilize little radish. The three-tailed fox king of Lai Yan almost cried when it first heard Yun Chuzhou shout. Master. I'm also a shameless beast. How can I do such a tasteless thing as pooping and defecating everywhere? Just pretend and scare it, Yun Chuzhou said to the three-tailed fox king of Lai Yan with her spiritual sense. Lai Yan had no choice but to pretend that she was going to fertilize it. Qi Ling shouted, give it to you. Yun Chuzhou pouted. Wouldn't it have ended this way earlier? It was really like a donkey that would take a step back if it was not led. What do you want to give me this time? Little radish, let me tell you. If you can't satisfy me, I'll let you grow radish leaves immediately. Qi Ling had never seen such a shameless human before. With a wide noodle in his heart, he said, Little fairy, I've been underground all year round, and I really don't have anything good. However, I've collected quite a number of storage rings of cultivators who came here to train. After they died, I've collected all these things. You can take whatever you're interested in. After Qi Ling finished speaking, many storage rings appeared on the ground. Yun Chuzhou used her spiritual sense to probe into the storage rings and found that there was nothing valuable in them. However, there were quite a number of defensive spirit tools. Although their grades were a little low, they had the advantage of having a lot of them. Therefore, she put away all the defensive spirit tools in the storage rings and made up for what she had lost previously. Qi Ling said with a bitter face, Little fairy, I've already lost all my money. You should be satisfied, right? I'll send you and the others out now. Yun Chuzhou looked at it mockingly. Little radish, don't think that I don't know that you still have many good things. However, I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. I'll let you off this time. When I'm short of money, I'll come back to look for you. Oh right, if you don't want the secret of the 10th floor to be leaked, give me some hush money. Otherwise, HMPH, you understand. Qi Ling could not believe her ears. How could she be so shameless? She had already taken so many things from it, yet she still wanted hush money. Little radish, I don't want too much. I'll give you a 99 to 81% discount. You just have to give me 1 million top-grade spirit stones. Hearing Yun Chuzhou's words, the tool spirit fainted from anger. Qi Ling was stunned. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. This little radish's mental resilience is too weak, isn't it? It fainted just like that. Do I want too much? Isn't it equivalent to 100 million top-grade spirit stones? Xiao Hei and Lai Yan, the three-tailed fox king, were obediently acting like mushrooms by the side. This tool spirit still wanted to fight with their black-hearted master. They really overestimated themselves. Our black-hearted master is full of evil tricks and will torture you to death. After a moment, the tool spirit woke up. This time, it really cried, it cried until its nose was full of tears. Little fairy, I was wrong. I shouldn't have offended you. I shouldn't have scolded you. Please spare me. Even if you sell me, I won't be able to get 1,000,000 top-grade spirit stones. Yun Chujiu sneered, Little radish, you want to play a trick on me? Let me tell you, this trick is useless. Don't think that I don't know that these storage rings are just a drop in the bucket, and where are the spirit stones in them? If you continue to waste time with me, I'll give you 200 million, another 400 million. Qi Ling quickly evaluated the possibility that Yun Chujiu had mentioned. There was nothing that she couldn't do. It seemed that it could only give up money to avoid disaster. Quickly send this wretched girl out, and if she came again in the future, it would directly block her out. Yes, that was how it should be done. Chapter 1300 made a huge profit. Alright, little fairy, then I'll make some money. I should be able to make 100 million high-grade spirit stones. Little fairy, this is my old capital. You can't just take my spirit stones and not admit to it. How about this, before I give you the spirit stones, you have to swear in your heart that you can't tell anyone about the secret of the 10th level. Only then will I dare to give you the spirit stones without worry. Yun Chujiu blinked her eyes and said, Sure. I have an open heart, so why would I be afraid of swearing on my inner demon oath? Listen carefully. Heaven above, if Little Radish gives me Yun Chujiu 100 million high-grade spirit stones, I will keep the secret of the 10th level of the 9 Serenities crypt. If I tell anyone about it, I will let the heavenly lightning strike me to death. I will use all my strength to strike me down for 10 hours. Little Radish, this should be fine, right? The inner demon oath that I swore is enough, right? Qi Ling nodded. This kind of heart demon oath was very poisonous. If the lightning struck for 10 hours, not to mention this little girl, even a mountain could be flattened. Thus, Qi Ling transferred the spirit stone to Yun Chujiu. Little did he know that Xiao He and Lai Yan almost suffered internal injuries from holding in their breath. Damn it, you silly radish, you've been deceived again. Our black-hearted master is eager for the lightning to strike her. It's better not to make this oath. Yun Chujiu was almost done with her actions. She then said with great kindness, Little Radish, you can send us out now. I will come to see you often in the future. Don't miss me too much. Qi Ling squeezed out a smile and sent Yun Chujiu to the first level of the cave. Then, he couldn't wait to send everyone out. Damn it. Hurry up and get lost. I swear that I never want to see you again. You pervert. After everyone was ejected out of the 9 Serenities crypt, they were all a little dumbfounded. Wasn't there still one more day? Did the 9 Serenities crypt just close? Why did it close early? Yun Chujiu naturally wouldn't take the initiative to raise her hand and say that it was me, it was my fault. This fellow kept a low profile as he hid in the crowd, not making a sound. Deputy Dean Xiao had the teachers from each class count the number of people. After they finished counting, they discovered that dozens of people had gone missing. They must have been bitten to death by the demonic beasts in the cave. However, there would definitely be casualties in this trial. After they finished counting the names, the group returned to the Tian Yuan Academy in an imposing manner. At this moment, Deputy Dean Yin had obtained Yin Sulian's voice transmission talisman. Yun Chujiu was actually still alive. Deputy Dean Yin tried to send the voice transmission talisman to the 3 leaders of the secret guards, but it was impossible to send it out. At this time, the 9 Serenities crypt had already closed, which could only mean one thing: they were dead. Deputy Dean Yin was so angry that he smashed the desk into pieces. Trash. Trash. All of them were trash. 3 spiritual venerables couldn't even kill a little girl at the 5th layer of the spirit sect, they were simply trash. Deputy Dean Ian didn't know what else to curse other than trash. After venting his anger, he sat down on the chair dejectedly. It was impossible for Yun Chujio to kill 3 of his subordinates by herself, unless the secret guards of the Temple of Immortals used the same method to sneak into the 9 nether crypt. That was why his people were killed. It had to be the case. He did not expect that the Temple of Immortals would take this Yun Chujio so seriously. They actually sent a special secret guard to protect her at all times. How detestable. The Temple of Immortals had extorted 1/10 of the Ian clan's share of spirit stones the last time, and they had also suppressed the Ian clan many times. It was getting more and more outrageous. If it was possible, they really wanted to raze the Temple of Immortals to the ground. It was never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. Yun Chujio and the Temple of Immortals, he would not let any of them off. Chapter 1301 was still as impolite as ever after the students returned to Tianyuan Academy. Dean Huangfu briefly spoke a few words before the month-long holiday began. Just as Yun Chujio was about to send a voice transmission talisman to Di Baiming to hook up with him, Manager Luo arrived. Miss Jiu, this servant has been ordered by the palace master's wife to invite you to the Longevity Palace as a guest. Manager Luo respectfully said. Yun Chujio asked with a smile, Manager Luo, did my aunt miss me? Is that why she sent you to pick me up? 9th Miss, this servant still has to invite Miss Qin and Miss Bai Li. This servant will take my leave first. After saying that, Manager Luo ran away as fast as he could, because the palace master's wife's original words were, that little rascal is not under my nose. I'm really worried. She might have seduced Bei Ming. Quickly go and get her for me. Yun Chujio looked at Manager Luo's back and pursed her lips. This Manager Luo is really honest. Can't you just make something up to make me happy? In fact, if it was someone else, the well-rounded Manager Luo would naturally say some polite words. However, she didn't dare to say anything to Yun Chujio, afraid that she would be cheated if she said anything wrong. This guy's criminal record was really too serious. Manager Luo brought Yun Chujio and the other 2 up the flying spirit tool and headed straight for the Palace of Immortals. Once they boarded the flying spirit tool, Yun Chujio curled her lips. It seemed that the old witch was afraid that I would take the thing away again. The layout inside was extremely simple. Along the way, Yun Chujio was still holding the talking book and reading it with great interest. Although Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yan despised Yun Chujio's behavior, they didn't take the initiative to provoke Yun Chujio because Yin Xinlian had been killed by this valiant little girl. The journey was very smooth. 3 days later, the flying spirit tool arrived at the Hall of Eternal Life. Manager Luo did not bring the 3 of them directly to their respective courtyards this time. Instead, he brought them directly to the reception hall. Once the 3 of them entered the reception hall, their gazes were attracted by Di Baiming, who was sitting on the right hand of the hall master's wife. Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yan's faces instantly flushed red. They were extremely bashful. In the past, when they came here, even their esteemed self did not show his face, so why was he waiting for them here so early this time? Could it be that this time was different, and they had to make a final decision? Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yan looked at each other warily. They regarded each other as their biggest competitors. As for Yun Chujio and the others, they did not put her in their eyes at all. Whether it was her family background or spiritual power, she could not be compared to them. Di Baiming sat on the chair, his gaze fixed on Yun Chujio. He had been busy with cultivation and palace affairs for the past few months and had not seen Yun Chujio for a long time. For some reason, Di Baiming felt that Yun Chujio was even more beautiful. The intelligence in her eyes made people want to immerse themselves in her. After Yun Chujio saw Di Baiming, the image in her mind was, cough cough, the situation inside the nine-tailed fox's illusion. When Di Biming saw the sinister smile on Yun Chujia's lips, he could not help but feel his heart tremble. What was little Jiu planning now? Why did I feel a little cold? When the palace master's wife saw Di Biming and Yun Chujia's flirting, she coughed unhappily. Then, she said, "Little Jiu, why are you still so rude after not seeing me for half a year? Why don't you greet me when you see me?" Yun Chujio then noticed that she was busy recalling the naked man. Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yen had already greeted her, but she was in a daze like a wooden stake. Chapter 1302, Flying Kisses. Aunt, I was stunned by your beauty. I haven't seen you for half a year, and you have become even more beautiful. I was a little dumbfounded when I saw you. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Although the lady of the hall master wanted to find fault with her, she had no choice but to suppress the corner of her mouth and said in the face of such a sincere compliment, glib tongue, "Sit down. Aunt, what I said was 100% true. If I said that you are Brother Biming's sister, no, even if it's Brother Biming's sister, people would believe it. Senior Sister Qin, Senior Sister Bailey, don't you think so?" Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yen would only deny it if they were stupid. Naturally, they also flattered him. The hall master's wife felt very comfortable in her heart. This little rascal was still so annoying. Following that, the palace mistress asked the three of them about their studies in the Tianyuan Academy. Di Biming sat at the side, wishing he could end it as soon as possible. This way, he could get close to little Nine. If it wasn't for this intention, he wouldn't have waited foolishly in the living room. With great difficulty, the palace mistress finally said, "Manager Luo, send Miss Qin and Miss Bailey to their respective courtyards. Let them be served well and don't neglect them. As for little Jiu, you can stay in the side hall in my courtyard this time. I can also teach you some principles at any time." Di Biming's expression suddenly darkened. His mother was definitely doing this on purpose. Was this so that he would not have the chance to be alone with little Jiu? The palace master's wife glanced at Di Biming's expression and felt proud in her heart. "You little brat, do you think that I brought the little rascal here to cultivate a relationship with you? Dream on." Yun Chujio did not mind. The solution was thought out by humans. She did not believe that the old witch would be able to keep an eye on her. Although Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yen were a little surprised, but when they thought about the relationship between Yun Chujio and the palace mistress, it made sense. After all, it was understandable that the palace mistress wanted to personally teach Yun Chujio. The two of them thought of the storybook that Yun Chujio read at almost the same time. They could not help but gloat over Yun Chujio's misfortune. If Yun Chujio was caught by the palace mistress, there would definitely be a good show to watch. After Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yen left, the palace mistress said to Yun Chujio, "What are you still sitting there for? Follow me to the bedroom." Yun Chujio followed behind the palace mistress. Di Biming looked at Yun Chujio's back with disappointment. He actually did not have the chance to say a word to little Jiu. Then, he saw Yun Chujio suddenly turn her head, she kissed her right hand, then waved her hand at him. She blinked her eyes playfully and skipped away. Di Biming's heart pounded violently. It was as if he was in the clouds. He felt that all his hard work and all the pressure he had to endure had received the greatest reward at this moment. Yun Chujio followed the palace lord's wife to the bedroom. The interior was as luxurious as usual. This old witch knew how to enjoy it. "Little rascal, you can stay in the side palace for the next few days. Don't bother me if you have nothing to do. Don't worry, my bedroom is heavily guarded, and Bei Ming can't enter. You don't have to have any devious ideas," the palace master's wife said with a hint of pride. "Aunt, I'm here to accompany you to relieve your boredom. I know you have a sharp tongue but a soft heart. In fact, you can't wait for me to bother you. Don't worry, other than sleeping, he'll definitely be with you at all times," Yun Chujio said with a smile. "Old witch, you make me uncomfortable, and I also make you uncomfortable. Chapter 1303, I'll just kill myself HMPH. Up to you. To tell you the truth, the reason why I arranged for you to stay in my side hall was to prevent you from hooking up with Bei Ming. As for Ming Zhu and Bailey Yan, they have many opportunities to get along with Bei Ming. Little rascal, aren't you very sad? The palace master's wife asked provocatively. Manager Luo, who was at the side, simply had no strength to complain. Madam, don't you think that you're being very childish? Yun Chujiu blinked her eyes, then, tears streamed down one by one. Aunt, I didn't expect you to be so heartless. What did I do wrong? Are you treating me like this? Not only did you cut a big hole in my heart, you even sprinkled salt on it. My heart, it's killing me. Yun Chujiu clutched her chest and howled. Woo woo, I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I don't want to live anymore. Forget it, there's really no point in living. I'll just crash to death. After saying that, Yun Chujiu charged towards Manager Luo. Manager Luo's heart was like a beeping dog. If you want to commit suicide, you should just ram yourself into the wall. Why did you hit me? Manager Luo didn't dare to resist, nor did she dare to dodge. If she dodged, Yun Chujiu would definitely fall to the ground. With the little pervert's vengeful character, he would definitely not let her off in the future. Therefore, Manager Luo could only bear with it and let Yun Chujiu bump into her body. As she bumped into her, she also howled, Woo woo, aunt, don't worry, after I die, my soul will often come and play with you. Other times, our ghosts are too busy, I will come and look for you every night. The palace master's wife slammed the coffee table in anger. Little rascal. Stop it, Yun Chujiu acted as if she did not hear anything, she continued to bang and howl. Woo woo, brother Bei Ming, I will come and look for you in the middle of the night. Fuck, if anyone dares to marry you, I will draw a bastard on her face in the middle of the night and shave all her hair. Ninth miss, madam usually dotes on you the most. Why would she intentionally make you sad? Madam was just joking with you. Manager Luo sighed in his heart, Madam, if you don't have the ability, then don't provoke this little pervert. I can only give you a way out. Yun Chujiu's crying stopped abruptly, then she looked at the palace head's wife, Aunt, is what Manager Luo said true? Are you really joking with me? Manager Luo asked the palace head's wife for help. Madam, quickly nod your head, or else she would be hit by this little girl and vomit blood. The palace master's wife snorted, Humph. Just kidding, and you take it seriously. You really have no sense of judgment at all. Yun Chujiu instantly smiled like a flower. She went forward and hugged the palace master's wife, Aunt, I knew you were the best to me. The palace master's wife was a little stunned by Yun Chujiu's hug. She was only a brat like Bei Ming. He had always had an ice-cold face since he was young and had never acted coquettishly to her. This little girl made her feel like an elder. A moment later, Aunt, I'll go to the side hall to wash up first and then come over to accompany you. See you later. After Yun Chujiu finished speaking, she hurriedly dragged Manager Luo away. The palace mistress frowned slightly. Why did this little girl run so fast? Then, very quickly, the palace mistress' furious roar sounded from within the bedroom, Yun Chujiu. Get your ass back here. Yun Chujiu, who was almost at the side hall, could not help but shrink her neck. Manager Luo asked carefully, Miss Chiu, what did you do to the mistress? Nothing, didn't I just cry very sadly? So it was inevitable that there would be snot and tears. I felt that the material of Aunt's clothes was quite soft, so I wiped it while I was at it. Manager Luo. Chapter 1304 Dinner. Manager Luo decided not to return to the bedroom for a while. Otherwise, she would definitely be angry with the palace master's wife. The palace master's wife's obsession with cleanliness was not any less than that of a superior. She must be mad now. My wife, you are simply looking for trouble when you fight with Miss Jiu. Yun Chujiu naturally would not go to the palace to get scolded. It was only during the dinner that this fellow went to the living room eagerly. Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yan had arrived long ago. When they saw Yun Chujiu enter, they nodded slightly. It was not that they did not want to get close to her, but they were afraid of being tricked by Yun Chujiu, so they decided to keep their contact with her as little as possible. When Yun Chujiu saw Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yan sitting on the left side, she sat on the right side. This fellow did not stand on ceremony and picked up the spirit fruit on the table to eat. The maid at the door shouted, "Your Excellency has arrived." Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yan immediately stood up in excitement. They did not expect that Your Excellency would actually come again. It seemed that this time, they really had to choose the final candidate. Di Baiming's face was as dark as water. He did not even look at Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yan. He walked straight to the table next to Yun Chujiu and sat down. Yun Chujiu was very satisfied with Di Baiming's performance. She should treat the flirtatious bitch like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. Well done. Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yan were extremely regretful. If they had known that their honored guest was coming, they would have sat on the right. Yun Chujiu, that little trash, had taken advantage of them. However, that little trash only knew how to eat. It was not a big deal. Not long after, the palace master's wife arrived. The palace master's wife glared fiercely at Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujiu bared her little white teeth at her, "Aunt, why are you looking at me? Are you thinking of rewarding me with good things again?" The palace master's wife really wanted to say that she wanted to give you a slap. However, she endured it and ignored her. She announced the start of the banquet. The banquet of the Temple of Immortals was naturally very exquisite. There was no need to say much about the dishes. Furthermore, there was a dance to liven up the atmosphere. Yun Chujiu was eating happily when she felt someone tugging at her clothes. Yun Chujiu lowered her head and looked down. Di Baiming, the habitual offender, was under the cover of his loose clothes. He was secretly tugging at her clothes with his hands. Yun Chujiu was very smart. She immediately understood what Di Baiming meant. She frowned and muttered to herself, "Oh, my stomach is a little uncomfortable. I have to go out for a while." Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yan looked at her with disdain. They knew that she deserved to eat. Not long after Yun Chujiu went out, Di Baiming said to the palace mistress, "Mother, I still have some matters to deal with in the front hall. I will take my leave first." The palace mistress was watching the dance with great interest. She waved her hand casually. Di Baiming quickly left the living room. The palace master's wife suddenly came back to her senses. She had been tricked. These two little brats were playing a trick on her. They must have gone out for a tryst. It was really hard to guard against. The palace master's wife was so angry that she gritted her teeth. However, she couldn't go out and capture the two of them, so she said to Manager Luo, "Manager Luo, go and see little Nine." Manager Luo complained in her heart. "My wife, the task that you arranged for me is really difficult to handle. It's obvious that Miss Nine and your esteemed self have gone out for a tryst. What do you want me to do? I can't afford to offend either the little pervert or your excellency." On Manager Luo's side, Di Baiming and Yun Chujiu were having a romantic time. "My Prince Charming, did you miss me? Did you miss me so much that I couldn't sleep at night?" Yun Chujiu asked Di Baiming with a smile. Di Baiming didn't say anything and directly kissed Yun Chujiu. Manager Luo saw the two people hugging each other from afar, so he could only help to spread the wind so that others wouldn't see them. "Sigh, our madam was worried that you didn't like girls, and even said that with that cold personality, she didn't know how to make girls happy." "Emma, madam, your worries are unnecessary. I see that you are not only not cold, but also passionate. Chapter 1305 presents. After lingering for a long time, Di Biming finally let go of Yun Chuzhou and said with a hoarse voice, "Little Jiu, don't go back to Tianyuan Academy. Can you just stay in the Hall of Immortals? What do you want to learn? I'll find someone to teach you." Yun Chujia's small face was flushed red. She glared at Di Biming. "Prince Charming, what nonsense are you talking about? If I don't prove my ability, will your parents agree to our matter? Moreover, the master you helped me find can be better taught by a teacher from Tianyuan Academy." Of course, Di Biming knew this, but he really could not bear to part with Yun Chuzhou. He sighed. "It's only been a year, there are still 4 years left." Sigh. "Prince Charming, don't worry, didn't you finish the Tianyuan Academy in 3 years back then? I'll try my best to finish it within 3 years too. When that time comes, I'll ravage you every day." "Hee hee, Prince Charming, hee hee," Yun Chuzhou giggled foolishly as she spoke. Di Biming felt goosebumps from the laughter. "Little Jiu, what are you laughing at?" "Nothing, nothing. I'll give you a gift in the future, you'll definitely like it." "Hee hee, hee hee." Yun Chuzhou couldn't help but laugh even harder when she thought of Di Biming looking at his own puppet. This fellow did not even consider it. "You still don't know how to refine a puppet yet. Isn't it too early for you to think so much?" "Gift? What gift?" Di Biming asked in confusion. "Hee hee, I haven't made it yet. I'll give it to you in the future." "Prince Charming, why haven't I seen your father and my uncle? A few days ago, an old friend invited me over. My father went to be a guest. I reckon that he might not come back for 10 days to half a month." "Oh right, Little Jiu, you're already at the 2nd level of the Spirit Saint realm. Then, have you already learned the intermediate materialization technique?" Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes guiltily. No, I haven't had the time to learn it yet." Di Biming raised his eyebrows. "Little Jiu, although you're a very good liar, I can still see through such an obvious lie. What's going on?" Of course, Yun Chuzhou was unwilling to tell the truth. "Fuck, could it be that I told the gigolo that the thing I materialized was a piglet?" No, she could not tell him even if she was beaten to death. Yun Chuzhou was afraid that Di Biming would continue to question her, so she decided to use a honey trap. She stood on her tiptoes and kissed Di Biming on the cheek. The miserable manager Luo realized that almost an hour had passed. If he did not bring Yun Chuzhou back, the palace master's wife might really lose her temper. He could only force himself to increase the volume of his footsteps. Di Biming had long known that there were people in the distance, but he couldn't be bothered with them. Now that he heard the increasing volume of footsteps, he could only let go of Yun Chuzhou. "Little Jiu, I will think of a way to see you." Yun Chuzhou nodded. For some reason, she felt that sneaking around was so exciting. She rolled her eyes and said with a smile, "Prince Charming, come closer. I have something to tell you." Di Biming thought that Yun Chuzhou was going to say something important. He bent down slightly and put his ear near Yun Chujia's mouth. Unexpectedly, Yun Chuzhou bit Di Biming's neck. Just when Di Biming was about to do the same, Yun Chuzhou had already run away. "Manager Luo, is Aunt looking for me? Let's go back quickly." Yun Chuzhou turned around and made a face at Di Biming as she ran. She looked so proud. Chapter 1306 Embroidery. Di Biming gritted his teeth and found it funny. He had no choice but to pull on his collar to cover the hickey before returning to the study room in the front hall. In the study room, Di Biming was holding a book in his hand, but he could not read it at all. His mind was filled with the image of Yun Chujia's delicate figure, whether it was crafty, mischievous, or angry. Anin looked at the book in his honored guest's hand and was speechless. Why did his honored guest become like two people when he met Miss Jiu? Was this the power of love? Anine felt that something in his heart seemed to be stirring. Maybe I should be like An Feng and save some money for my wife. Yun Chujio followed manager Luo back to the living room. The palace master's wife waved her hand and signaled for the singing and dancing to leave. Then, she glared at Yun Chujio. Leaving halfway through the banquet and not returning for a long time, what's wrong with you? Why are you wearing a handkerchief on your face? Aunt, when I went to the bathroom just now, I met a spirit bee and it stung my face. I was afraid of scaring everyone, so I used a handkerchief to cover it up. Yun Chujio thought to herself that it was all your son's fault. My lips were slightly red and swollen. If I didn't cover it up, wouldn't I be exposed? The palace mistress was about to say something when manager Luo coughed. The palace mistress suddenly understood why Yun Chujio had done this. She was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Bei Ming, that little bastard. The palace master's wife was in a bad mood. She hastily said a few more words and then ended the banquet. Qin Mingzhu and Bei Li Yan pretended to be concerned about Yun Chujio and said that they had some ointment on them. The palace master's wife said hatefully, "Don't worry about her. Who asked her to go out and attract bees and butterflies? She deserves it." Yun Chujio did not care about this kind of double-meaning mockery. She even said with a smile, "Yes, that spirit bee is also shameless. It just had to sting me." The palace mistress was really speechless at Yun Chujio's shamelessness. She could only brush her sleeves and leave. Yun Chujio shrugged her shoulders and followed behind her. "Aunt, wait for me." "Aunt, are you angry? Aunt, can we chat for a while more?" The palace mistress left even faster. The palace mistress decided to change her strategy. Hence, from the second day onwards, when the palace mistress held a banquet or enjoyed the flowers, she did not allow Di Baiming to attend. Hence, Di Baiming did not see Yun Chujio for a few days. Yun Chujio did not really mind. In any case, when they were in the Tianyuan Academy, they only met once in a long time. Furthermore, there was a saying that said that if the two of them were to be together for a long time, how could they be together day and night? Actually, cough cough, this fellow was busy going to the canteen to plunder. The palace lord's wife turned a blind eye to this. Actually, she was also very conflicted in her heart. Although the little rascal was sometimes so angry that people would go crazy, but people could not hate him. On the contrary, with her around, the longevity hall was even more angry. If it wasn't for the heavenly thunder spirit root, even if her family background was a little inferior, it was not impossible. However, she had the heavenly thunder spirit root, which was not tolerated by the Tian Dao, so it was really not suitable for Bei Ming. The palace master's wife decided to teach Yun Chujio to embroider. Yun Chujio looked at the two crumpled yellow balls that the palace master's wife had embroidered, and the corners of her eyes twitched slightly as she asked, "Aunt, what are you embroidering? Little rascal, is your eyesight bad? Can't you tell that these are two chickens?" Yun Chujio nodded. "Now that you mention it, I can tell that they are indeed two chickens. It's just that these two chickens have hidden their heads and claws in their fur." Chapter 1307 Were these two egg yolks? When the palace mistress heard Yun Chujio's words, she shouted angrily, "What nonsense are you spouting? I'm asking you to cultivate your body and mind. You're already an 18-year-old girl, yet you're still jumping around all day. What a disgrace. Hurry up and embroider." Yun Chujio bared her little white teeth, picked up the handkerchief and the embroidery thread and started to embroider in a decent manner. In a short while, the two lifelike chickens were finished. "Aunt, what do you think of the two that I sewed?" The palace mistress looked at the two balls that she sewed and then looked at the one that Yun Chujio sewed. She said without conscience, "It's not bad. It's just a little worse than what I sewed. Since your embroidery is not bad, then I will teach you the way of tea." Just when the two of them were having a friendly exchange, Di Baiming arrived. Although the hall master's wife tried her best to prevent Di Biming from meeting Yun Chuzhou, she could not prevent Di Biming from coming in broad daylight. Mother, little Jiu. Di Biming was very happy to see his mother getting along with the girl he liked. Little Jiu was so cute, his mother would agree to their matter sooner or later. The hall master's wife looked at him indifferently. What's the matter? I'm teaching little Jiu the way of tea and embroidery. If you have nothing to do, then leave. Don't delay us. Di Biming naturally did not want to leave immediately. He still wanted to stay with Yun Chuzhou for a while longer, so he tried to find something to talk about. Looking at the two handkerchiefs placed at the side, he said, Little Jiu, you really should learn more from my mother. Look at the two little chickens my mother embroiders are lifelike. Then look at what you embroiders. Are those two egg yolks? Yun Chuzhou spat out the tea in her mouth. The palace master's wife's face turned green with anger. You little bastard. What kind of look is that? Is your egg yolk like this? These are clearly two chickens. Di Biming was a little confused. Seeing Yun Chuzhou's gloating look, he had an epiphany. He quickly added, Mother, you misunderstood. The handkerchief I said was embroidered like egg yolks, and the handkerchief you embroidered is clearly two lively chickens. It's very vivid. The corner of Manager Luo's eyes twitched violently. His Excellency and Ninth Miss had been together for a long time. His eloquence had really improved greatly. The palace master's wife naturally knew that Di Biming was trying to curry favor with her. She snorted coldly, at least you still have some level of appreciation. Di Biming thought to himself, no wonder he had never seen his mother's embroidery before. So it was just this level. It was really, too horrible to look at. Seeing that his mother was no longer angry, Di Biming shamelessly stayed behind. The wife of the hall master rarely saw Di Biming like this, and her heart was slightly sour. Indeed, she had forgotten her mother when she had a wife. In the past, she didn't bring her here when she had nothing to do, but now, she couldn't even chase him away. However, this little bit of jealousy was quickly replaced by anger. You little rascal. Don't you know what a tea ceremony is? You are drinking soup there, sizzling 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 sizzling. Aunt, I embroidered the chicken for half a day, thirsty to death, this tea and hot mouth, can only drink like this, otherwise how to drink ah? Yun Chuzhou wrinkled small face said. When Di Biming heard Yun Chuzhou say so, he picked up his teacup, and cold mist floated out of his palm. Then he handed the teacup to Yun Chuzhou, Little Jiu, this way it won't burn your mouth. Yun Chuzhou did not stand on ceremony. She took the teacup and drank it dry. Then, she said, give me another cup. This teacup is too small. It won't quench my thirst at all. Chapter 1308, I will protect Aunt. Di Biming obediently handed Yun Chuzhou another cup of tea. Yun Chuzhou finished it, only then did he say, Aunt, all right, I'm not thirsty this time. Actually, it's not my fault. Isn't there a saying that goes like this? When the granary is full, one knows etiquette. When one has enough food and clothing, one knows honor and disgrace. I'm almost thirsty to death. How could I care about the tea ceremony? A stomach full of nonsense. You always have a point. The palace mistress glared at her. Hee, no matter how reasonable I am, I'm afraid that auntie will be angry. I'll study hard now. Show me again, you're the most beautiful person I've ever seen drinking tea. You're like a fairy, Yun Chuzhou said flatteringly. The palace mistress clearly knew that Yun Chuzhou was flattering her, but she felt comfortable in her heart, so she showed Yun Chuzhou again. Di Biming sat at the side, thinking how good it would be if such a moment was fixed. His parents and little Jiu were safe, and nothing else was important. The sound transmission talisman in Di Biming's storage ring started to vibrate. After Di Biming used his spiritual sense to read it, he frowned slightly. Mother, there's a problem with the spirit stone mine. I'm afraid I have to go there personally to take a look. The main business is more important. Then you should go. Bring more people with you. Don't be careless. The palace mistress said seriously. Yun Chujio couldn't help but sigh in her heart. This old witch was like a different person when it came to the main business. She was really fickle. Di Biming hesitated for a moment. But father isn't here either. I'll bring more than half of the elites with me. If there really is a strong enemy invasion, I'm afraid, your father will probably be back in a few days. Besides, what can happen? The secret guards and guards of the Temple of Immortals are not to be trifled with. No matter how weak your mother is, I'm still at the 4th level of the Supreme Being realm. It's fine, just go ahead. Di Biming nodded. Okay, then I'll hurry back. Mother, after I leave, the mountain protection formation will be activated immediately. It's best to be careful. After the palace master's wife nodded, Di Biming said to Yun Chujio, Little Jiu, you're fine. Don't be naughty. Brother Biming, you go. Don't worry, they'll protect Aunt. Yun Chujio hugged the palace master's wife's arm and said. At the beginning, the palace master's wife was still a little uncomfortable when Yun Chujio hugged her. Now, she was numb and felt that the feeling of being relied on by her little daughter was not bad. After Di Biming left, the palace master's wife curled her lips. Little rascal, what you said sounded nice. You want to protect me? I'm a dignified 4th level spiritual venerable, how can I use a 5th level spirit sect like you to protect me? Yun Chujio puffed out her small chest. Aunt, don't look down on me. I'll definitely protect you when I say I'll protect you. The palace master's wife paused for a moment and then waved her hand. Get lost. I'm going to take an afternoon nap. Yun Chujio curled her lips. What an old witch who did not know how to appreciate the kindness of others. Humph. Yun Chujio did not know that the eyes of the palace master's wife, who had turned her back, were red. She had seen countless people and could see that Yun Chujio was speaking the truth. She felt inexplicably touched, but she did not want Yun Chujio to see it, that was why she chased Yun Chujio away. Forget it, for her sincerity, after Biming marries his wife in the future, I will take her in as my adopted daughter. In the future, when I choose a good family to marry, I will treat it as if I have a daughter. The next day, when they learned that Di Biming had left, Qin Mingzhu and Bailey Yen came to bid their farewells. They had not returned home after a long vacation, and this time, they wanted to go back and take a look. The palace mistress urged them to stay. Seeing that the two of them had made up their minds to leave, she asked manager Luo to bring dozens of secret guards to escort the two of them back. Chapter 1309, Yun Chujio who slipped through the net. In the next few days, Yun Chujio was completely liberated. Because Di Biming was not in the Temple of Immortals, the palace master's wife no longer held on to Yun Chujio and allowed her to run around crazily. On this day, this fellow thought of the spirit fruit forest and with a sinister smile, he hopped into the spirit fruit forest and picked large spirit fruits. After picking the spirit fruits, he lay down on the grass and slept. When this fellow opened his eyes, he realized that the sky was already turning dark. He stretched his body and muttered, "It's really strange. It's already so late, but the old witch actually didn't send anyone to find me. She really doesn't care about me." Yun Chujio stood up and patted the grass and dust off her body. Then, she hopped out of the spirit fruit forest. When she was about to reach the edge of the spirit fruit forest, she heard footsteps. This fellow thought to himself that the old witch must have sent someone to call her. This fellow's evil intentions had resurfaced once again, calling for all of you to bully me in the past and for me to scare all of you. Hence, the fellow leaped onto a very dense spirit fruit tree and looked down through the gaps in the leaves. "Brother Yang, Dharma Protector Tao is being too careful. The Temple of Immortals has already been trapped by US using the 8 Gates Golden Lock Array. Even if Di Linhan and his son were to return, they would still be unable to enter. Moreover, the people inside are all under our control. It is impossible for any of them to escape, not to mention the fact that the Spirit Fruit Forest is so far away from the main hall. It takes 10,000 years to be careful. 11 years ago, we thought it was a sure thing, but didn't we return in defeat after that? So, it is not wrong to be more careful this time. What exactly happened back then? I only heard that there was a report of victory back then, saying that the Tianyuan continent was within our grasp. Why did we return in defeat after that? The person involved was only Vice Palace Master Lu alone. We don't know the exact situation. We only heard that the bad news was caused by the son of the Palace Master of the Longevity Palace, Di Biming. So this time, the first person we chose to attack was the Longevity Palace. When Yun Chujio, who was hiding on the tree, saw that there were 2 men, she immediately activated the concealment talisman. The more she heard, the more shocked she became. The Longevity Palace had already been attacked. Although she was in a deep sleep, why didn't she hear such a big commotion? Or did they use some unconventional means to control them? The more Yun Chujio thought about it, the more frightened she became. Although some of the secret guards of the Temple of Immortals had been taken away by Di Biming, and some of them had been sent to escort Qin Mingzhu and the others, there were still hundreds of them left, and they were at least at the 7th level of the Spirit Saint realm. There were also several of them who were at the level of Spirit Paragons. How could they be captured just like that? Moreover, what they were talking about that year, was it because the pretty boy had been poisoned by the cold poison? Was it also because of the death of Wu Jibrain's mother? The pretty boy and Wu Jibrain were very secretive about what had happened that year. What exactly had happened that year? These people did not seem to be from the Tianyuan continent, so where did they come from? Yun Chujia's mind was full of questions. However, the most important thing now was to hide from the 2 of them. Therefore, Yun Chujio took off the hidden spirit ring on her hand. It would be safer this way. The 2 people who spoke searched around but found nothing. Then, one of them said, "Brother Yang, I told you. It's impossible for anyone to be in here. Our attack was very sudden. They were completely unprepared. They thought that their sect protection array was very strong and foolproof. They would not have thought that we came in when the flying spirit tool was out." Chapter 13:10 The old witch was in trouble. Yun Chujio frowned slightly. They took advantage of the flying spirit tool to get in. It turned out that they had sneaked in when Manager Luo sent Qin Mingzhu and the others out. They must have activated the concealment talisman and then thought of a way to destroy the mountain protection formation. Yun Chujio could not see through their cultivation levels and did not dare to act rashly until they were very far away. Yun Chujio quickly took out the sound transmission talisman and was ready to report to Di Biming, but she found that the sound transmission talisman could not be used at all. It must be the effect of the 8 Gates Golden Lock Array that person mentioned. What should she do now? There were only 3 choices. One was to think of a way to send a message to the gigolo, one was to think of a way to hide and wait for the gigolo to come back to rescue them. The other was to think of a way to kill all these people and rescue the old witch and the others. From that person's tone, he was very confident about the 8 Gates Golden Lock Array. It would probably be very difficult for her to send a message. The third choice. Although she shamelessly thought that she was quite capable, there were so many people from the Temple of Immortals who failed to resist. It would be difficult for her to do it alone. The safest choice was the second choice. If the gigolo failed to send her a voice transmission talisman, he would definitely be suspicious. At that time, he would send someone to check. In a few days, he would discover that there was something wrong with the Temple of Immortals. At that time, she would stir up trouble again. She would definitely be able to kill all these bastards. After Yun Chuzhou made up her mind, she counted the things on her body. Fortunately, she had come out of the Nine Serenities crypt and asked Feng to send a lot of talisman papers. During this period of time, she had also drawn a lot. During this period of time, she would use this time to draw some more. Perhaps she could use it. Thus, Yun Chuzhou had Xiao Hanio stay on guard on the tree. She found a flat area and began to draw talisman papers. In the middle of the night, Yun Chuzhou decided to check out the situation, so she activated the concealment talisman on her body and carefully left the spirit fruit forest. Recently, she had been jumping around the Temple of Immortals a lot, so the terrain was very familiar. On the way, she met a few groups of patrols, but they were all carefully avoided by her. She was naturally most concerned about the safety of the palace master's wife, so she sneaked out of the bedroom. There were lights flashing inside the bedroom. It seemed that the old witch was most likely trapped inside. Yun Chuzhou did not dare to be careless. If she met someone with the cultivation of a spiritual venerable, the concealment talisman would be ineffective. Fortunately, she took off the spirit concealing ring and carefully hid her aura and figure, so that she would not be easily discovered. Yun Chuzhou was a little puzzled. Logically speaking, the old witch should be the most important hostage. Why were there only a few guards on the outer perimeter and not a single guard inside? The bedroom door was closed, so Yun Chuzhou had no choice but to go around to the back of the bedroom and crouch under the window to eavesdrop. I didn't expect the palace mistress of the Temple of Immortals to be so beautiful. TSK, it's a pity that her personality is really not that good. A slightly drunk man's voice said. Yun Chuzhou frowned. Holy shit, could it be that someone had designs on the old hag? Get lost. The palace master's wife was obviously extremely furious. Beauty, to tell you the truth, conquering the Temple of Immortals is only the first step. Sooner or later, the Tian Yuan continent will fall into the hands of the Netherworld Palace. If you obediently submit to me, you can still enjoy your glory in the future. Otherwise, I have many ways to make you submit. When that time comes, not only will you lose your body, but you will also gain nothing. Beast! If you dare to touch me, I will bite my tongue and commit suicide. Yun Chuzhou sighed in her heart. Old hag, biting your tongue and committing suicide will not kill you. Don't do anything stupid. Bite your tongue and commit suicide. Even if you die, I will still play. Moreover, if you dare to bite your tongue and commit suicide, I will kill all the people of the Temple of Immortals. Chapter 13:11, Praise me later, if we die, Ling Han and Bei Ming won't let you off. You won't have a good ending. Just like those people back then, they will all die without a complete corpse. The palace master's wife said through gritted teeth. Back then? Humph, times have changed. Back then, it was just a natural disaster, but you guys planted it on a little brat. Cut the crap. Did you take the initiative to obey me, or do you want me to use force? The man's next words were very vulgar and obscene. Yun Chuzhou could not listen to it anymore. Yun Chuzhou frowned. She had to think of a way immediately. Otherwise, once that old witch was stupid, it would be bad if she really bit her tongue. There were no patrols around this area, which meant that this person was doing it for pleasure, so he sent everyone away. She could actually kill him by surprise. This way, she would be exposed. What should she do next? Forget it. No matter what, she had to save the old witch first. Yun Chuzhou thought of this and activated the isolation array. Then, she slapped the window. The man in the room was taking off his clothes while the palace master's wife was tightly bound by her spiritual power and thrown onto the bed. Yun Chuzhou did not say anything else and threw a large sack at the man. The man never expected that someone would actually barge in. He subconsciously used his spiritual power to hit the sack. With a bang, the chili powder inside spilled out. Although the man reacted quickly, some of the chili powder still choked his eyes. At the same time, the man stumbled. Coincidentally, his pants were halfway down. When he wanted to get up, he tripped again. Yun Chujia's purple needle hit the man's head. Along with the explosion, the man screamed again and again. Unfortunately, Yun Chujio had already activated the isolation array. No one heard him even if he shouted again. Yun Chujio lifted the rolling pin and directly hit the man's head. Then, she untied the rope on the wife of the palace master and also untied the spiritual power confinement on her body. The wife of the palace master was already in despair and was about to bite her tongue to commit suicide. She did not expect to be saved by Yun Chujio, who she had always looked down on. For a moment, she had mixed feelings, and tears flowed down her face. "Auntie, we can thank him later. Quick, see if there is anything on this person that we can use. Let's quickly discuss our next step." Yun Chujio said as she used her divine sense to probe into the man's storage ring. Other than spirit stones, there were also some black stones. The rest were spirit tools, pills, and the like. The man had an identity jade token on him. On the front was the word Chiyu, followed by the word Netherworld Palace. This person must be Chiyu. It turned out that he was not that Dharma protector Tao. However, to be able to do such a brazen thing, he must have a deep relationship with Dharma protector Tao. Yun Chujio put the man's body into her storage ring. Then, she said to the palace mistress who had regained her composure, "Aunt, don't bite your tongue and commit suicide next time. Biting your tongue won't kill you. Moreover, it's better to stay alive than to die. Don't die just because there's nothing to do. If you die, how will my uncle and brother Bei Ming live?" The palace mistress finally calmed down and became excited again. Her eyes turned red, and just as she was about to say something, Yun Chujio said, "Let's talk about compliments later. Aunt, what should we do next? Where are the others? How did you get caught? Why is there no movement at all?" Chapter 13. 12 Poison. They put a colorless and tasteless poison into lunch and water wells. This poison is different from common poisons. It only makes people feel a little drowsy and has no other characteristics. Therefore, everyone thought that it was a doze-off in the afternoon. Even the elders who know medicine didn't notice it in time. By the time they realized that something was wrong, it was already too late. If it was an ordinary poison, we could still hold on for a period of time if we used our spiritual power to suppress it. However, once this poison takes effect, it is actually unable to suppress it. The spiritual power in our bodies quickly dissipates. Therefore, the other party didn't spend much effort to take over the Temple of Immortals. Sigh. It was all due to my carelessness. If we had investigated earlier, we would definitely have discovered the people who had snuck in earlier and wouldn't have caused such a disaster. If they really succeeded, I would be the sinner of the Temple of Immortals and even the Tian Yuan continent. The palace mistress blamed herself very much. After so many years of peace, she had forgotten about the potential threat. "Aunt, have you recovered your spiritual power?" The palace master's wife nodded. "This poison seems to have a short duration. There is nothing abnormal about it now. Where are our people locked up?" Yun Chujio asked again. The palace master's wife shook her head, indicating that she did not know. "What is the identity of this person?" "From what he said, it seems to be some hall master, the uncle of that Dharma protector Tao. Then we have to think of a way as soon as possible. Otherwise, if Dharma protector Tao doesn't see this person tomorrow morning, he will definitely be suspicious." Yun Chujio frowned and said, "Little Jiu girl, before they discover you, you should return to your original hiding place and wait for Bei Ming and the others to come back and save you." The hall master's wife shook her teeth and said, "What about you, auntie? All of this was due to my negligence. I killed as many as I could. In the end, I won't let them have the chance to capture me alive. Even if my Dantian self-destructs, I will still kill a few more of them. Auntie, are you crazy? I worked so hard to save you just to send you to your death. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have saved you. Yun Chujio said angrily. Little Jiu girl, I wronged you in the past. I don't want to die either, but now I have no other choice. They don't know of your existence, so you will be safe if you hide. Indifferent. If I disappear, they will definitely search for me vigorously. At that time, you will also be implicated. If I'm captured, in the future, when Ling Han and Bei Ming counterattack, they will be restrained. So I can only die so as not to become a burden to them. The palace master's wife said firmly. Yun Chujia's impression of the palace mistress was better. This old witch was not a selfish person. She rolled her eyes and said, Auntie, I won't stop you if you want to die, but we still have half a night's time. That so-called Dharma protector Tao probably won't find out that Chi Yu is dead until tomorrow morning. If we make good use of this half a night, perhaps you won't have to die. What can you do for half a night? Moreover, there are only two of us. The palace mistress really didn't have much confidence. Man makes the best of things. Besides, your longevity hall is still boasting about how powerful you are. How could you be taken down by others without making a sound? Yun Chujio specifically stabbed the palace mistress' heart. The palace mistress' fighting spirit was instantly ignited. HMPH, it's just because Bei Ming took away more than half of the elites and we were poisoned. Otherwise, this netherworld hall would be nothing. Yun Chujio heard the hall master's wife, who had always prided herself on her dignity, even say, fart. She knew that her fighting spirit was already aroused, so she said, Aunt, you have a concealment talisman on you, right? Chapter 13:13 Ancient Poison Recipe. Seeing the palace mistress nod, Yun Chujio said, then let's first find out where those people are locked up, and then think of a way to save them. The palace mistress had already treated Yun Chujio as her backbone, so she naturally had no objections. The two of them activated the concealment talisman and carefully left the bedroom. The palace mistress was a 4th-level spiritual venerable, and with the concealment talisman, it was still very easy for her to avoid the patrolling guards. She found that there was actually not a single trace of spiritual power fluctuation on Yun Chujio's body, and could not help but feel strange. How did the little rascal hide the spiritual energy fluctuations on his body? The palace master's wife was full of questions, but now was not the time to answer them. If she could really escape this disaster, then she would ask her. Because the palace master's wife was at the spiritual venerable realm, she could see Yun Chujio, but Yun Chujio could not see the palace master's wife. Therefore, Yun Chujio pointed in a direction and signaled the palace master's wife to follow her. The two of them came to the canteen one after the other. The palace master's wife frowned. What time was it now? This little rascal still came to the canteen. Could it be that this little rascal wanted to be a glutton? Although it was already midnight, the canteen was still brightly lit. Yun Chujio was most familiar with the canteen. This fellow brought the palace master's wife from a hidden corner and directly entered the canteen's back kitchen. Then, he hid his body in the kitchen and looked outside. There were 7 or 8 people sitting around the dining hall. They were all spiritual venerables and were drinking and talking loudly. TSK, as expected, what I hear is false and what I see is true. They have been talking about how the Temple of Immortals is, but I don't think it's much. Our protectors used a little trick to occupy the Temple of Immortals. At this speed, in less than a year, the entire Tian Yuan continent will belong to the Netherworld Palace. You can't say that. After all, Di Linhan and Di Baiming are not around. Moreover, if we did not have the Netherworld Elixir, things would not have gone so smoothly. The Netherworld Elixir was an ancient poison formula that Vice Palace Master Lu had obtained with great difficulty. Even a person with great medical skills would not be able to discover it. Otherwise, do you think that the people from the Temple of Immortals are all good-for-nothings who have been poisoned? No matter what, the Temple of Immortals is already ours. Even if Di Linhan and Di Baiming come back, we still have the hostages in our hands. They will be wary of taking action, and when the time comes, we will still be the ones to win. Not only is the Temple of Immortals grand and magnificent, but each of those chicks is more dainty than the last. It's a pity that Dharma Protector Tao did not allow them to move, or else they would really want to be happy. Humph. Only the governor was allowed to set the fire and the commoners were not allowed to light the lanterns. Chi Yu entered the palace of the palace master's wife and chased us all out. He even said that he wanted to interrogate the Temple of Immortalcial. With his character, he didn't even need to ask to know what he was going to do. He's really daring and lecherous. The palace master's wife is the most important hostage, yet he dares to lay his hands on her. Dharma Protector Tao really has a good uncle. Damn it. I'm so tired that I won't even give him any benefits. His uncle actually dares to lay a hand on the wife of the palace master. What a grievance. That's right. Brothers, let's go to the place where the prisoners are being held and get a few pretty girls. If Dharma Protector Tao punishes us, well, give Chi Yu up. Right. Let's do it. Damn it, let's go. The few of them talked as they walked out drunkenly. Yun Chujio gestured at the back with her finger, indicating for the palace mistress to follow her. The few of them put their arms around each other's shoulders and said lewd words. The palace mistress was so angry that her face turned green. However, when she saw Yun Chujio make a gesture to silence her, she could only endure it. The two of them followed the person in front for about 15 minutes and came to a row of houses. This was the place where the servants usually lived. They did not expect the Netherworld Hall to hold them here. Chapter 13-14 Only rescued the servants. Yun Chujio and the palace master's wife hid their bodies behind a rock and stuck their heads out to look. The two guards stopped them. This is the place where the prisoners are being held. Retreat quickly. TSK, Hall Master Chiu, Hall Master Pai, Chi Yu is currently having sex with the palace master's wife, yet the two of you are sent here to guard the door. It's really a different fate for the same officials. The two guards' expressions were very unsightly, but one of them still said, "We don't care what others do. Our duty is to guard these prisoners. You guys quickly retreat, or else the hall rules will punish you." Those few people drank quite a lot of wine. Immediately, they started cursing. "What are you pretending for? We are not your subordinates. Moreover, those prisoners will die sooner or later. What's wrong with us playing around? Get out of the way. We have to go in." "That's right. Don't you want to have some fun? Let's go in together." Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and gestured for the palace mistress to turn her ear over. Then, she said in a low voice, "I'll go to the canteen and start a fire. You go to the back of these rooms and act according to the situation." The palace mistress nodded and the two of them split up. Yun Chujio carefully avoided the patrolling guards. Very soon, she reached the canteen and pushed down the vegetable oil tank in the kitchen. Then, she threw the lighter up. Not long after, the canteen was ablaze. Such a big commotion naturally caused a wave of panic. Many people ran over to put out the fire while Yun Chujio once again returned to the front of the courtyard where the Temple of Immortals were imprisoned. The few people who were drunk were so scared that they were running to the canteen in a hurry. They thought that the fire in the furnace had not been extinguished when they were cooking. The two guards also kept looking in the direction of the canteen. Seeing this, Yun Chujio felt relieved and quietly went around to the back of the courtyard. There were no guards at the back of the courtyard. They had probably been taken care of by the palace master's wife. Yun Chujio jumped over the wall and jumped in. A window was open. Yun Chujio looked through the window and saw that there were indeed many people locked inside. Some of them were covered in dried blood. They must have been injured during the fight. However, most of the people locked inside were servants of the Temple of Immortals and some guards. Those secret guards with high spiritual power were not locked here. No wonder the guards here were so weak. It turned out that they did not take them seriously. Yun Chuzhou frowned. Saving these people actually did not have much of an effect, and it would also be restricted. However, she could not just stand by and watch them die, so she did not stop the palace master's wife from helping them remove the ropes and recover their spiritual power. Yun Chuzhou also jumped in through the window, motioning for the palace mistress to keep everyone quiet. Only then did she reveal her figure and asked in a low voice, "Do you know where the secret guards are locked up?" One of the guards said, "Miss Chiu, I seem to have heard them mention that those people in the warehouse are all ruthless characters, and they must be kept under strict supervision. I think they must have locked the secret guards up there." Yun Chuzhou nodded and then said to the palace master's wife, "Auntie, I'm not too sure about the exact location of the storehouse. You come with me." Then she said to the people in the room, "You guys stay here quietly for the time being. If you are discovered, take the initiative to kill the 2 guards and then guard this courtyard until we come back. And, get the corpses of the guards of the Netherworld Palace out. Get a few people to change into their clothes and stand guard at the back. We can fool around for a while." Chapter 13-15. I'm here as a guest. The palace master's wife did as she was told and had a few people take off the outer clothes of the guards of the Netherworld Palace. After putting them on, they stood guard at the back. Only then did Yun Chuzhou and the palace master's wife jump out from the back again. 15 minutes later, the 2 of them arrived at the warehouse. As expected, the security here was much tighter than before. There were 8 guards with the cultivation of spirit paragons in front, and 8 guards with the cultivation of spirit paragons behind them. The palace master's wife felt a chill in her heart. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to rescue these people. If these people could not be rescued, the people they had saved before would sooner or later be captured. Yun Chuzhou was also frowning, but the arrow was already on the bow. They had to rescue these trapped dark guards so that they could have the strength to fight with the Netherworld Palace. Otherwise, everyone would be captured again. "Little Jiu, I'll appear and lure them away. You take the opportunity to go in and save them," the palace mistress said. The palace mistress had her own considerations when she said this. Her special identity would definitely attract the attention of those people. Moreover, her spiritual power was higher than Yun Chuzhou's, so she could hold on for a while longer. Unexpectedly, Yun Chuzhou shook her head. "That's not right. Once Ant is captured again, all our efforts will be in vain. Let me think about it. There must be a better way." If Yun Chuzhou had said that before today, the palace mistress would have scoffed. But now, she had completely changed her view of Yun Chuzhou and was patiently waiting for Yun Chuzhou to think of a way. Time passed quickly. Although the palace mistress was extremely anxious, she could not bear to urge Yun Chuzhou when she saw her small face scrunched up. Finally, Yun Chuzhou's small face shone with a dazzling light. Yun Chuzhou waved at the palace mistress and gestured for her to come closer. After the palace mistress came closer, Yun Chuzhou said a few words in a low voice. The palace mistress shook her head. "No. This is too dangerous. I should go and attract their attention. And, now is not the time for you to be willful. Listen to me, or else don't blame me for being rude." Yun Chuzhou's small face stiffened as she said sternly. The palace mistress had never seen Yun Chuzhou like this before, and was actually stunned for a moment. Then, she saw the little girl call out a Shao Hei rat from the spirit beast pouch. "Auntie, write 2 sentences according to what I said, and then cover it with the Hall of Eternal Lives Great Seal." The palace mistress was not in the mood to ask how Yun Chuzhou knew that the Great Seal was with her. She wrote 2 sentences according to what Yun Chuzhou said, and was put into the storage space of the high-level spirit beast by Xiao Hei Rat. Yun Chujiu restrained her aura and walked a distance away. She came out from behind a rockery and swaggered toward the 4 guards with the cultivation of a spiritual venerable. The 4 people noticed Yun Chujiu as soon as she appeared. When they saw that it was a little girl with the cultivation of the 5th level of the spirit sect, they immediately relaxed. However, they were very puzzled. Where did the little girl come from? Big brother, did you transfer here from the front hall? There aren't any treasures in this warehouse. Why did the palace master's wife transfer you here? Yun Chujiu rubbed her eyes and asked in puzzlement. The 4 guards were confused. From the tone of the little girl, did she not know that the Longevity Palace had been conquered by the Netherworld Palace? Little girl, what do you do? Me? I'm a guest of the Temple of Immortals. I was playing in the Spirit Fruit Forest in the morning and fell asleep. I only woke up when I heard something about a fire. Is the canteen on fire? What's the use of guarding this broken warehouse? Hurry up and put out the fire. Chapter 13-16 turned out to be the Temple of Immortals. The 4 guards looked at each other. It turned out to be a silly and playful little girl. Didn't they send people to search the Spirit Fruit Forest previously? Why didn't they find anyone? They were too careless. Fortunately, it was a little girl who was ignorant of worldly affairs. They could just capture her. Little girl, come here. I want to talk to you about something. One of the guards waved at Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujiu held her stomach and said, I'm hungry in the middle of the night. Let's talk about it tomorrow. I have to go back and eat something. The guard saw that Yun Chujiu was about to leave and quickly said, I have food here. Come here and they'll give it to you. Yun Chujiu stopped in her tracks. Really? Brother guard, you're such a good person. After saying that, Yun Chujiu hopped towards the direction of the guard. The guard was delighted. This little girl was really easy to fool. She was about to be fooled. Unexpectedly, he stopped after a few steps. No, my aunt taught me that men and women should not be intimate. Throw the food to me. I can't be too close to you. The corner of the guard's eyes twitched, but his heart moved. He took out a few steamed buns with netherworld powder and threw them to Yun Chujiu. Little girl, I only have a few steamed buns here. You can make do with them. They are still warm. Yun Chujiu took the oil paper bag and saw the steamed buns inside. She beamed with joy and said while eating, Thank you, big brother. By the way, I heard that some guards in your front hall like men. Is that true? The corners of the 4 guards' mouths twitched slightly. Then, the guard who gave Yun Chujiu the steamed buns said vaguely, Yes, it's true. I see that your big brothers are handsome. And Feng didn't touch them, did he? He is one of your leaders. I heard that he likes people like you the most. First, he uses spirit stones to please people. If you don't comply, he will use force to coerce you. You haven't been killed by him, have you? Yun Chujiu blinked her eyes and asked curiously. The 4 guards suddenly felt their butts tighten, and their heads shook like rattledrums. No. No. It's nothing. Yun Chujiu let out a long breath, That's good, that's good. I see that the 4 big brothers are all very kind-hearted. It would be such a pity if they were ruined by Infeng. The corners of the 4 guards' eyes twitched violently. So the Temple of Immortals was like this Temple of Immortals. We have really broadened our horizons. When we have time, we can go in and see which pervert is called Infeng, and we can broaden our horizons as well. Hidden behind the huge rock, the palace master's wife's heart was so complicated that it could not be described with words. If she had heard Yun Chujiu say such immoral words in the past, she would definitely have scolded her. But at this moment, Hearing the little girl spouting nonsense, she actually felt a trace of pride in her heart. Damn it, I must have been too stimulated, so I went crazy. When the guard saw that Yun Chujio had already finished eating 3 buns, she did not look drowsy at all. Instead, she looked even more energetic. The guard could not help but feel puzzled. These 3 buns had increased the dosage of the medicine. Logically speaking, this little girl should have been drowsy a long time ago. Why didn't she have any reaction at all? Big brother guard, the taste of your buns is really not bad. It's just that 3 of them are a little too little. Do you have any more? If not, I'll leave. I'll look for you guys to play with tomorrow. Yun Chujio said with a smile. That guard lost his patience and suddenly leaped forward, wanting to capture Yun Chujio. The palace master's wife's heart was in her throat. Although she had seen Yun Chujio kill that Chiyu previously, that was because Chiyu had not been on guard. Would the little rascal be able to do it this time? Chapter 13-17 My aunt is really powerful. Yun Chujio suddenly turned her body to the side and dodged the guard's attack. She giggled and said, Big brother guard, are you trying to spar with me? I just finished eating, so I can stretch my limbs. However, we are just sparring, you can't hurt me. That guard did not expect Yun Chujio to actually dodge his attack, and he was slightly surprised. This little girl's movement technique was very fast, but she was a fool. Should I spar with you? HMPH, I can catch you in less than 5 moves. When the guard heard that Yun Chujio was a guest, he thought that since she was a guest of the Temple of Immortals, she might be a young lady from some sect or clan. After catching her, she might be useful, so he wanted to catch her alive. Therefore, he did not use his spiritual power to attack, but used his fists and legs to fight with Yun Chujio. Unexpectedly, Yun Chujio's movement technique was extremely fast, like a slippery little loach. After 20 moves, that guard did not even touch the corner of Yun Chujio's clothes. The 3 guards behind him started to jeer. Li Bei, did you not eat dinner? How come you can't even beat a little girl at the 5th level of the spirit sect? Ha! That guard named Li Bei could not keep his face straight anymore. He attacked Yun Chujio with his spiritual power, and a wolf materialized from spiritual power pounced on Yun Chujio. Damn it! Brother guard, are you going to kill me? Be careful, I'll tell my aunt to punish you. Yun Chujio shouted as she dodged. Stupid girl. To tell you the truth, the Temple of Immortals is now in the hands of the Netherworld Palace. You'd better surrender obediently so that you won't suffer any physical pain. Otherwise, I'll kill you directly. The guard had been unable to capture Yun Chujio for such a long time, he was already angry from embarrassment. Yun Chujio's face revealed a huge shock, then, she smiled and said, Big brother guard, are you joking with me? How could the Temple of Immortals be conquered by some bullshit Netherworld palace? My aunt is very powerful. She is incomparably wise and has superb spiritual power. It's impossible. The face of the palace master's wife, who was hiding behind the rock, alternated between red and white. She was embarrassed and angry. This little rascal really made people love and hate him. The guard sneered again and again. Humph. The Palace of Immortals is just as so. Little girl, I'm not joking with you. I'll give you one last chance. If you don't surrender, I won't hold back. You're really too much. My aunt and uncle are your masters. How can you slander the Palace of Immortals like this? I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of my aunt. The reason why Yun Chujio kept joking was to give Xiao Hei a cover and buy time. Seeing that Yun Chujio was still unwilling to give in, the guard launched another spiritual power attack. After Yun Chujio dodged it, she threw several small purple needles at him. When the guard saw the small purple needles that Yun Chujio threw at him, he dodged to the side and laughed contemptuously. Little girl, your spiritual power materialized into needles. Ha, what a waste. The 3 guards behind him also laughed out loud. Where did this little waste come from? It actually materialized into a needle. A needle could even have offensive power. Yun Chujiu giggled. Big brother guard, don't think that my needle is small. It's very powerful. Do you dare to try catching it with your hands? It'll stab you to death. The guard curled his lips. Darn girl, do you think that everyone is as useless as you? I let you materialize a broken needle and stab it casually. It can't hurt me at all. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.